Welcome to Living the Reiki Life podcast. Hi, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Krista, and we're coming at you from the Prairie Province of Saskatchewan, Canada.
We met in the corporate world over a decade ago and became great friends. We started our Reiki journey together, and now we are Reiki Masters. Follow along as we navigate life living the spiritual world while still working the 9 to 5.
We gather twice a month to chat all about Reiki and our Reiki journeys, energy healing, and other healing modalities.
We are going to interview some of our gurus and cover a vast majority of topics that we find interesting, and hopefully you do too. Let's get at it. Hello, everyone. Welcome back in. This is Amanda here with Krista, and this is episode 21. So thank you so much for tuning in, and happy beginning of March. What is going on, Krista, on your end?
Yeah, March. I love March because it just means that spring is around the corner and winter is going to be done. And it's just, it's such a good feeling. Like the darkness of winter is coming to an end. And, something I wanted to share was it's a neat story that happened. If you follow me on Instagram, you would have read this story because I just shared it the other day. But Amanda and I were part of a mediumship practice circle. We thought it'd be fun to just sit down with a random person and just see what comes through. It's good just to test your abilities and be out of your comfort zone and just see what can happen. Because I haven't practiced mediumship in quite a while, and it's different when the person sitting across from you just staring at you and you're just kind of like waiting for something to come through. And it's good though. Like once I got going, it was fun. But with our episode today, after we recorded it, I had like this big urge to go through boxes and clear out energy and just like get some things moving, make room for new. And I was going through some old boxes from work that I've been putting off since summer. I was like, I need to get rid of this shit. So I started going through it, and I came across some Mary Kay lotion I had in my my desk drawer for a couple years. I'm not a huge fan of that stuff, so no wonder I still had it. And I picked it up, and my ear started ringing. And I was like, oh, this is weird. Like it felt like somebody cupped my ear. And then it was ringing really loud. And then I just had this knowing to remember the name Mary. And I was like, well, all right. Because when ringing happens, a lot of the time it is spirit trying to get my attention. So I just made note of that and carried on throughout my day and went through the boxes. And then later on, we had that mediumship reading. And I started the reading, and I was sitting across from this lovely lady from Arizona. She made me feel really comfortable, and so that was really good. And all of a sudden, like I felt a female spirit come forward, and I was like, "Oh, Mary!" I was like, "I remember that." So I was like, "Is there any chance her name is Mary?" And she thinks about it for a second, and she's like, "Yeah." She's like, translated in English, it's Mary, because it was a Mexican name, like Maria. I can't remember the full name, but she said that they called her Mary in English. And I was like, holy cow. I was like, I don't know. It just blew my mind that I made note of that, and then it came through and it all made sense full circle. It was just like her spirit was visiting me before the reading, and she knew I was going to be able to connect. So that was pretty cool. And I was able to bring through lots of good messages for her son that held on some regret about her passing, and just like brought through random things that made sense to her. Like Mary kept saying, tell her about the socks. And I was like, okay. And I was like, so she's telling me about socks. And she's like, oh, every Christmas she gave everyone socks. And I was like, oh, okay. So that was great validation again, that it was her. And then all of a sudden I seen like a standard, like a manual shift standard car, like just a quick picture of it. And I was like, okay. So you always say what comes to mind because you don't know what that will mean to that person. So I just said, I was like, I'm seeing a standard car. And she's like, yes. She's like, her son, like my stepdad, taught me how to drive standard. And then just went on this other thing. Yeah. So it was really cool. It was a great experience, and spirit showed up, and she had some messages for me as well. And yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun. You had a really good reading. Yes.
Yeah. I was
Great
surprised by
work.
myself.
Yeah, it's not mediumship is nothing that I like advertise or offer. And it really takes the pressure off when you're like, well, they're not paying for this. So if nothing happens, like it's fine. And I was the same as you. I had a really good reading too. This man came in and he came in on my right side, which is my masculine side. So right away I was like, okay, well, obviously they're connected to like a father or someone on your father's side. And yeah, I kept seeing like just images and a lot of like physical stuff was happening on my body that gave me clues. So it was like physical sensations. I was like, was he, I'm getting like a pain on the left side of my face. Like, was there impact or something that happened? She's like, yes, he was in a car accident and he was on the passenger side. So he took the brunt, right, on his face. And then I said, like, my throat's closing up, like I can't breathe. And she's like, yeah, he had a trachea put in his throat.
Oh,
There was just a lot of like cool stuff like that that was validating and other images that kind of came to mind. But yeah, it's interesting if we were to advertise it. I don't know. I would still be nervous, and I think those nerves would almost get the better of me if I was advertising for it. But you're definitely more advanced in the mediumship. You've been doing it longer, and I feel like you just have way more of a natural ability than me starting out does for sure.
yeah, it's just like a muscle. You just got to practice it. And yeah, it's crazy though. And that is so cool how your body was validating things. Like you felt the impact on your head and then the throat.
Mm,
And I like when that happens because it's just like you're not second guessing it like a image, how things can get misconstrued. It's like, no, I feel this on my head. I'm going to tell them about it. And spirit's trying to communicate through different things like that. So yeah, it's something that I do want to do eventually, but I'm just kind of making or seeing how it all unfolds organically and just kind of going from there.
yeah. And it's a great way, like when we're doing Reiki, if spirit comes in, like no problem, deliver the message, connect in. And then it's like just like a bonus, I guess.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
if,
that's right.
yeah, we set the stage and then like set those good intentions. And then if someone of a higher being wants to come through, then it's like, oh, great, let's do this. And if you're comfortable receiving, then great, let's do this.
Yeah, because it's like way easier when the person's laying there with their eyes closed rather than sitting across from you just staring at you. You're like,
Yeah.
it's like a
Yeah.
little less pressure to connect. But I'd love to get to a point where I could just sit down and just connect and everything would flow. But yeah, it takes some practice, that's for sure.
Yeah, you will for sure. I know you will. Yes. Good.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. No. What's going on with you, Amanda?
Okay, so again, if you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen that I took my USI level one. So here we go. We finally know how it is pronounced. It's not Yusu or Yusui. It is USI is how you pronounce it. So I took my level one and I just wanted to, like, I love New Earth Angel Reiki and it's been amazing, but I just kind of wanted to go back to those like traditional, grounded hands-on energy healing because Reiki is hands-on energy healing, but Christy and I, we don't really do a lot of like hands-on the physical body. I feel like we work more in the like etheric body, I guess, just one of the outer layers of the aura. So if I need to touch you, I definitely will, but we definitely work more in that outer layer of the aura for sure. And the energy will pass through like it is all the same, but I just wanted more of that background. And then I have my level two scheduled as well. And then I'm going to eventually get my teaching so I can actually start teaching Reiki and then teach Reiki the way I have my own intuitive spin on it. Instead of just doing a uniform go through each point, it's kind of like you move where you need to, let your body and hands move where they need to. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. So super exciting. And
Yeah.
there was one more thing I wanted to like share. I know you and I have both kind of dealt with this, I guess. So lately, so when you receive a Reiki treatment, Reiki energy runs through your body for the next 24 hours. So A lot of the time, what can happen is maybe you don't feel this immediate release or this immediate feel better. Just let things settle. Give it that grace period and just let the Reiki continue to work. Let it integrate overnight. And then slowly you might start seeing that dust kind of lift off and feeling better overall. So just don't panic if you're like, well, I don't think that worked and that didn't feel good. I know that I've checked in with clients and they were like, yeah. And then on like the next day, they'll be like, oh, I slept great now. And now I'm finally feeling like really good. It's like, okay, great. So it wasn't just that instant relief. It just things needed to like settle down and let the Reiki like work its way through. So I just wanted to add that out because it's been coming up actually a lot.
That's a really good point. I really like that. And that makes so much sense. And even sometimes after Reiki, yeah, you may not feel that big boost, but even like as time goes on, there'll be like subtle shifts in my energy. Like I'll be like, oh, okay, I feel more grounded. Or I'll notice like, oh, I'm not having that negative thought form. And yeah, just like little things that will come up. You're like, wow, okay, something did shift within me. So yeah, that Reiki energy, that's so fascinating. And I didn't know that it's flowing through for 24 hours.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I know, just little things, just little foundational things.
Hmm.
But yeah, I just wanted to share that with others in case they're kind of feeling that as well.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm excited for your journey. And I'd love to, I want to learn level two because I have my level one, but I would love to learn level two. And yeah, just get back to like the roots and like the meat and potatoes of Reiki and just kind of honoring that. There's a lot there that I feel like I could learn.
Yeah, that's how I felt too. Should we get into the astrology for March?
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody, welcome in. It's Pisces season, which I think we're all familiar with is kind of more of that like mystic sign of the deck. Would that be accurate if I say that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Pisces?
Mystic,
Yeah,
watery emotions.
yeah. So Pisces, we have a new moon coming up in Pisces on March 10th. And the Pisces card in the tarot deck is actually the moon card. So Pisces needs a creative outlet to channel their creativity and that creative energy and manage their like daydreaming and heightened intuition. So if they're not using that energy, it can kind of go in almost like a damaging way. So like hence that shadow side you would see in the moonlight. So that's kind of like what that Pisces is. It's like seeing that shadow self and like seeing that moon energy, if you will. So if you are working on expanding your intuition or just like your spiritual gifts, this would be a really great new moon for you to kind of call that energy in. Really take advantage of that. And if you're finding yourself kind of bored or maybe like feeling like a little bit of not really having a lot of like purpose, I guess, and then you just notice that you're kind of channeling that maybe in a not like destructive way, but just not in the best way that you could. Like find those better creative outlets so you're using that energy for more of like the good than the bad, if you will. I hate to use those expressions good or bad, but that's kind of what I mean. And then on March 19th, we actually have the spring equinox. So yay, we're welcoming back the light. So that's really exciting. I've noticed the days are getting longer and I absolutely love it. It's not dark at 5 p.m. anymore. And Christy, I know you're really big with like spring equinox. And do you have any plans this year to kind of touch on that?
Yeah, like we're redoing our floor through the entire house. So we're moving everything. So everything's getting like gone through. Like I'm going through purging so much stuff because when I moved almost a year ago, we just kind of put stuff away and I didn't really go through it because you have full intentions when you're packing. Oh, I'll go through this. I did that at the beginning. Then near the end, I was just chucking stuff in boxes. I just wanted to get it over with. So now I feel like I'm like settled in and it's time, like a good time to purge and just going through like some childhood stuff that I've been hanging on to and like old clothes and yeah, just doing a massive purge and it's going to feel so good because in spring like we do the spring cleaning. Like that's what they did back in the day. They cleaned out everything from their long winter and they wanted to invite all that fresh new energy that comes in with the spring so that they can plant their seeds in like fresh soil. So I don't know. It just feels really good and really aligned this spring. And our interview today with Krista is going to touch on that too. I'm super excited to share this interview with you because it really lit me up to get going on our physical clutter and how much it affects us. And I think everybody will benefit from this conversation.
Yes, so true. And the timing of this is just impeccable.
Yes.
I was the same way. Like, so I have these glasses and I've been in this house for a couple years, going on three almost. And I have like these martini glasses. I have whole bunch of like old flasks, just like things that I'm just never using ever. I'm like, I never drink martinis. Why do I have these? Why did I bring these over to my old place? So again, I just grabbed a box. It literally took me 3 minutes to grab these glasses, chuck them in a box into Todd's vehicle for when we were running errands. Like, we can drop these off somewhere. It was like
Yep.
done. 2 boxes gone out of my kitchen alone. And
Oh,
I was like, wow, I really need to go through the rest of the house because this episode really inspired me too. Krista was fantastic.
yes. And it feels good. Like just
Yeah.
getting rid of that stuff just feels so good. And even like I hang on to stuff for like weird reasons and just like kind of sitting with it. And just like she said, like having an open heart and some gratitude for that object. Sometimes it sounds silly, but some things carry memories and energies and that. But you have no room for it in your life now. So it's like time to get rid of it. And it feels good. A part of you like goes with that item, like a part of your energy is just out it goes. Bye bye. Someone else can have it and enjoy it.
Yes, you feel lighter. You feel
Yes.
lighter for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we hope this episode definitely inspires you to do the same if you're feeling called to it, of course. Just a really good time of year to do that with that spring equinox.
Yes.
And then all we have a full moon and lunar eclipse on March 25th in Libra. So Libra is an air sign and all about balance and justice. So on in the tarot deck, she is holding up scales of justice, actually. So because this full moon is all about full moons are all about releasing, it might be time to release things that are making you feel overloaded or not bringing you that sense of balance and well-being to your life. So also don't be afraid to have those conversations you've been putting off so you can release the throat chakra. This was something that just kind of came through as I was typing this up. And so March is a really good time to clear up and close those ends before we go into that astrological new year, which will be April 1st. So unload, kind of tune in, like what's giving me balance, what's too heavy, and what's something that maybe I need to assign this task to somebody else. Maybe you're in the work off space and you're like, you know what, this is overloading me and it's bringing me out of whack. Can someone else take this off my plate? Or you're at home and you need your spouse to kind of pick up something else because you're overloaded. Now is the time. Get organized, feel better, go into April with a brand new well balance. That's my message for that.
I love that. March just seems like a good like bridge month, like kind of get all your ducks in a row, like with your physical clutter and emotional and just like, yeah, balance all that out. And then April comes and everything's just fresh and clean. And yeah, that feels good. Hmm.
Feels good.
All right. Are we ready for the episode?
I think so.
Yeah. Hope you guys enjoy.
Yes, enjoy.
So today we're sitting down with Krista from Heart Ray's Home. I found Krista on Instagram and loved the content she was sharing. She talked about how clutter affects you and your kids and the power of intention and making your home a safe and sacred space. We shared on our last episode about the importance of keeping the energy clear in your home. So we wanted to dive deeper with Krista and have a conversation about the physical items in your home as well and how this can affect the energy and flow. So Krista is a heart-centered and a passionate person, and she loves living a clutter-free life. And she wants to help others do the same. And with spring cleaning around the corner, we thought this was like the perfect time to have this conversation. So welcome, Krista.
Oh, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Us too. Yes.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm so excited to dive into this. Like my house, when it has clutter in it, it almost gives me anxiety. Like I
For
just
sure.
pair it with how my head is. And I have a baby too now, who's 19 months.
Mm.
So he doesn't have like that much stuff, but he has a lot of stuff still. And it's just like, oh, I see it and it has to get cleaned up like every day. I bought a big tote just to chuck the toys in at least, just so it's like out of my hair before I go to bed, because I just can't even go to bed like
Yeah,
that. I don't want to wake up
I
to it like that.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm super
And when
excited.
we, yeah, and when we start our days and end our days with the clutter, it's just like that's what we go to sleep thinking about. That's what we wake up thinking about. It's a vicious cycle and it's all consuming.
Big time. Yeah. And I feel like I start my day already behind if I leave yesterday's dishes in the sink because now I'm already, yeah, I want to wake
Totally.
up and have a fresh slate. And that was like a big lesson for me to learn is to like, do that little cleanup in the evening. Like sometimes takes like 10 minutes, but it like feels so good.
Something that I really like the way that I like to look at it is creating rhythms through our day, especially with children, but just, for adults as well. It's these like little rhythms and rituals that we can move through that cultivate clutter-free spaces, but also keep us clutter-free. Because that's a thing too, right? Like we can go and declutter everything and then just go buy a bunch of stuff, or like take a bunch of stuff out and just not put it back where it belongs. So creating little rituals like after dinner, like I have my little ritual that I go through, and even if the kids are going bananas, it's like, okay, I'm just gonna take a moment, I'll settle them, and I'm back to this because I don't want to wake up feeling overwhelmed. That's not where I want to start my day.
That is
Totally. It's such a
perfect.
trigger. And it's like
It
setting the
really
tone
is. Yeah.
for the whole day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
it really
big
is.
time. Like even like my husband, he's opposite of me. Like I love stuff. I love things. I love collecting things. He collects stuff too, but he just likes a clear space. Like he doesn't like something on every wall where I
Hmm.
do. So when we moved in together, it was like a big deal for him to have one spot in the home where it was clutter free. And so that's the
Hmm.
living room. Like there's very minimal furniture, minimal thing. Like there's not even a book on the coffee table. Like it's just clean. So it's kind of like where we
Hmm.
had our little compromise. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Everyone's so different, and I think that's what we kind of get confused when we talk about clutter clearing and decluttering. It's like it's not a one size fits all. Clutter is so personal. And this is why I don't necessarily go into people's homes and dig through their stuff. That's just not the business I'm running, is because it's so personal. And what I may walk into your house and say, oh my gosh, there's a lot of stuff. And you're like, but I love everything. I feel good about everything. It resonates with me. It lifts me up. It makes me feel good. It's your sacred, but it's my clutter. So it's so hard to put this thing in this clutter clearing in a box, right? That's just one size fits all. It just doesn't.
I have to ask, do you watch Hoarders? And how do you feel about that show?
No, no, I do not. I will be honest, I don't watch a whole lot of TV. I do remember like seeing that show when I was younger, when we had like 14 TVs in our house, it seemed. And yeah, that's just like instant anxiety for me. I'm
Oh
just
my
like,
God.
nope, can't do it. That is a lot of stuff.
Oh, it's
Like,
insane.
do you think it's better having an outsider go in who's not emotionally attached to their stuff? But then how do you like,
And that's the thing. Like, I was talking to a friend recently, and I know a few people who are just like, it's just a clutter-filled home. And I'm like, who is the culprit here? Like, who's the collector? I was just picking her brain. And, we got talking about it, and it's like sometimes our clutter and our stuff can really mask what we're trying to not deal with, what we don't want to
Mhm.
face in our life. Clutter can keep us really busy mentally. So we just don't have to deal with our emotions. So when someone does come into your home, and even like my process is not going and moving and throwing out all your stuff. That's just not what I do. But when I set up a process and I share how to do that decluttering journey, then people can, they can work through that emotional journey really with some grounding. Like if I'm able to kind of just lead the way and pave the path of like, okay, let's do this in an order, and like we're gonna bring some order back to your house. It's gonna be uncomfortable, especially if you are always surrounded with stuff. To not have stuff is scary for people.
Oh, it totally is.
Yeah.
It's like a safety blanket. And it's funny, like
Yeah.
you look at people's houses like well, I better not, well, it's my brother. And they have like a nice, beautiful home and there is crap everywhere. Like everywhere. They have like
Yeah.
this huge island and it's covered. And then they have like a
Hmm.
playroom for the kids stuff, but then there's kids stuff in the living room. Like it's like spilled everywhere. And I even watch, my niece, she's 3 years old and she doesn't like, she has so many toys everywhere that she's just like she'll pick up one, throw it away, and then pick up another. And she doesn't really like treasure toys like I did. Like I had my one dolly
Hmm.
I loved, and she just kind of has five of them, just throws them in a box and doesn't care. And it's just I don't know. I just picture her little brain being like overstimulated. I guess was one of the questions we did want to ask you, but yeah.
Yeah, so to touch on that, because I have an almost 3-year-old, and I have a good friend who was an early child educator. So she shared a lot about like child development with me. And since starting my business, she shared, and I have learned from other teachers as well, like, what clutter does to a child, which is overstimulation. It just simply put is so overstimulating to have that many options. Like children are naturally, they feel everything like through their being. It's not like us like looking and being able to like filter. They feel it in their body, they sense it in their brain, they feel it in their like energy centers. Like it's everything. It's so much. And so like with our daughter who's going to be 3 in May, I don't have a lot of toys for her. And every once in a while I get into this thought like, oh, am I depriving her? I should have more because society tells us to have more, right? But then I see her being able to really um, move deeply into play when there's not as much stuff. So when you have a child who has too much stuff, they can't play in that really beautiful, like creative way because they're just overstimulated. There's just too much. And their brain is like firing, 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 and they can't settle. And so once you're able to calm and settle, then you can really move into that imaginative play. And the other thing too about toys and kids is that like so many of these really loud, like flashing, what are they called? Like, anyways, those loud type toys with batteries and everything. It's like that's a lot for their senses too. So if you can, I'll just share with what's in my daughter's bedroom. We have like 4 little wicker baskets. One has dollies in it. One has like play silks in it. One has her slipper collection because she loves slippers. And then the other one has her stuffies, like 2 stuffies. And then that's it. And she has some books. But I remember when we first had her almost 3 years ago, it was like, give me all the stuff. Like, I just want to, she's got to have the battery thing. She's got to have all the clothes. And like, it was a lot for me. I can't even imagine her tiny little brain trying to sort through all of that. So it's really impactful on their little brains and in their development. I won't go too deep into that because I'm not an expert in child development, but yeah, it's a lot for them. If you think it's a lot for you as an adult, it's like probably 10 times the intensity for them. I would say, I don't know for sure. I would just assume based on observing my 3-year-old going into like a filled to the brim playroom. It's like
Yeah.
you can't even do anything. You're paralyzed, right? Like it's like, oh my gosh.
That's
Okay. Yes, I completely agree with this. And I think the really hard thing too for parents, like I had my son the same time as like a couple of the friends who had kids. So then we go to their house and it's like we're neglecting our child because they just have so much toys and so much stuff. And you're like, whoa, what? Like we have half, maybe a quarter of the stuff. And I feel like we still have a lot of stuff. So I think that's kind of, and I know you should never compare. That's like the number one rule in any situation. So I really try not to. But the other thing
But
is,
it,
like, grandma cannot stop herself at Christmas time. And it's like,
mhm,
how do you politely tell them, we're going to keep this stuff at your house if you keep buying it?
yeah,
Because you
yeah,
just, it's too much. And then you don't want
yeah.
to offend anyone, hurt their feelings when they buy your child a gift. It's like, oh, more
I
stuff.
know. Oh, my mom does the same though too. She's really because it's exciting. Would assume I'm not a grandma, but it would be exciting to, you haven't had a baby in a long time. It's very fun to buy all the cool things. And I had a friend whose daughter came over and they have lots of stuff. Like I'm talking lots of stuff. And her daughter walked into our living room and I said, "Oh, you guys can just play in here." Now we have like a few baskets of toys and then a play kitchen. That's it in our living room. And she was like, "This is your playroom?" And the daughter was just like, there's not enough toys in here. Like, this is weird. Like, it was because her house is so much more filled than ours. And then that got me thinking, like, oh my God, are we depriving our children? It's like, yeah. But again, it comes back to just plain and simply, like, what do you feel good about having in your home? What do you love to see in your home? What makes you happy? What makes your kids happy from your own heart space? Like, not, it's nobody else's business. And when it comes to gift giving too, like our daughter just turned 1, it was Christmas, or our older daughter's gonna turn 3, and it's like, okay, I'm giving you a list of things that I know she'll play with or that she needs for clothing or whatever, and then that's it. And for Christmas I laid down the law. I was like so hard on everyone. I'm like, no gifts. We're opening up a savings account, you could give her money, I said, because I was just like over it. I was over it.
Yeah. That's what I do with my brother's kids. Even the mom said like we have too much stuff, so I give money
Yeah,
for Christmas and birthday and then like a tiny
yeah,
little toy of some sort if I
something,
find
yeah.
something. Yeah, or make something or yeah, I think that is like the
That's really
best.
beautiful. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
To be able to make a gift for someone too is really special. So there's just so many other avenues you can take when you're gift giving, that it's just like, and I think the world is starting to catch up with this a little bit. So you guys know Warehouse Books in Regina? Are you aware of that store? A
No.
Warehouse Books?
Oh,
No? Okay. Anyways, amazing store. You guys would love it. I used to work there when I lived in Regina. And we were talking about the holiday season, which is for any retail store, it can just be excessive, right? Like
mhm.
just intense. And they just said that like so many people are buying things more intentionally now and they're not going overboard. So it almost feels like we're starting to catch up with this mentality of like less is more and intention is more important. So I have hope that we can move in that direction, a little further away from that more, 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 give me more to like, you know what, this feels like a really great gift for this person, or I'm gonna make them a batch of cookies for their birthday or whatever.
Christy, I feel like that's always been your motto for sure. You're so good at like handcrafting a gift. Your father is amazing with making stuff. And just that is, yeah, I love that mentality too. I try to pick that up from Christy as well. Like making a gift, going for dinner, having that,
Mhm.
time that you can't buy. Yes, I
Yeah.
agree.
The experiences, right? It's
Yes.
a beautiful way to keep your home feeling in alignment with the intention that you set when you decided to decorate or decided to set up an altar. Like that's a really big part of decluttering. It starts the second you step outside of your door. So when you step outside and you're heading to the superstore to get groceries, are you going to buy a bunch of little ornaments and children's clothes or toys? Like you have to make those conscious decisions, and it takes a lot of practice to get out of those habits if you were, shopping shopping happy type of person, which I definitely have been there. So no shame to anyone because I'm a recovering shopaholic, I'm sure of it.
Yes, I feel that way when I go to Costco. It's like, do not go in the middle lane. Like, you don't need
Yeah.
anything from there. Just get your groceries and get the hell out of there. But sometimes it's so hard. It's like,
I
oh,
know. Stay in your lane at
yeah.
Costco.
So true.
Yeah. Yeah, a little retail therapy.
Yes.
Yeah, no kidding.
Krista, like let's back up a little and just tell us like how did you get
Mhm.
started on this journey? I love this.
Yeah, so it's so interesting. I've been doing a lot of introspection on this and like how this all came to be. So I'll give you a little backstory. I actually graduated college with a diploma in fashion marketing and management. So we're talking like I could work for a magazine, I could be a retail manager, I could work for as a district manager or do visual merchandising, like displays and stuff for stores. I was like a fashion, hence the shopping addiction, right? I would just like buy all the clothes. And so that was in 2012. And fast forward now, like 12 years, and I don't have that many clothes in my closet, but I still do have that love for like the visual, um, the feeling of like having really beautiful things intentionally placed. So last year was I gave birth to our second daughter, and my partner, because I'm self-employed, took parental leave. And so we were at home together. And then like the creative pot started to turn. It was like, hey, we gotta learn how to stay at home with these beautiful children. Like he didn't want to go back to work. I was not gonna go back to work. It was just like we were gonna make something work from home. And so we started to put our heads together, and we are two very different thinking people. So, like, heads together for separate businesses is the best, is what we figured out. Um, but yeah, so I just like hemmed and hawed. And as I started getting more, diving deeper into parenting and just learning things from like a developmental stage, I started to listen to these like clutter clearing podcasts and teachings on decluttering and from a parenting perspective. And I was just like, whoa, I resonate with this so much. Our home, like I've done this without even knowing I did it. I'm going to dive into this. And it was just like, it just felt right. Like it was just one of those, it was just like a pull towards teaching people how to live more intentionally through less. And yeah, with my background in visual merchandising, like again, it's just that visual appeal of things in the home. But then on top of it, living with two children and having to cope with the mess and the stuff, and also being at home. Like we've been at home for how many years now, right? And it really shines a light into your patterns and your, maybe bad habits when we stay at home and we get drawn into this like introspective time. So it was birthed out of many different situations, but really I have always been other than the shopping, fashionista version of myself. I've always been like, hey, I'm done with that. I don't want it anymore. I don't love it anymore. I'm going to get rid of it, make the space. And since moving out to Ontario 2 years ago now, we rent this house and just we moved like an entire U-Haul of stuff. And I was like, why did we do that? And I sold a bunch of stuff before we left Regina, but you just get stuff as you move through life and have children and do all the things. And it's like, I'm so sick of feeling like heavy in our home. So I just started kind of getting rid of stuff and being more intentional. And I've always been, since working at a warehouse, you girlies need to check that store out. You'll love it if you ever go to Regina. Um, but yeah, having worked there, I just learned so much about the art of intentional placement of things. And I've also dove deep into feng shui. I've done some online courses and I just love I just love intentionally placing things. That's all I can say. It's just working with energy, subtle energy through your items. It sparks some sort of passion in me. And it's hard to explain, but it just feels really good. So I thought, hey, I think more people need to tune into this energy of intentional placement. We all know we're moving into a different dimension, you could say, or different world, perhaps. And like this world that we're living in is just not working anymore. The stuff, the too much. And as I started to pair my beliefs and my visions of the future with this idea of less and intentional placement, that was where Heart Ray's Home was born. It was birthed from that place of really wanting to hold space for people to feel really held in their home and safe in their home, and very just sacred. Like there was just this energy of like, if you, anyways, I'm going on and on and on, but, and I can answer some more questions, but if you place an item in your home that signifies something you love, it doesn't have to be sacred crystals or whatever, it can be anything, and you place it down and you love the way it looks, and it's a picture of your child or your puppy or whatever, and then you feel into that heart space energy of like, wow, I love this. Then you go on in your day and you maybe get stressed out and something happens, then you come back to this little picture or statue or decoration, and you remember that feeling of love, and you remember that feeling of like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for this sweet puppy or this beautiful child of mine or this experience I had that I bought a statue from or whatever it is. So, it's a little bit deeper than, for me, it's a little bit deeper than just clearing out our homes and living a minimalistic life. There's just some depth that I feel really called to share moving forward on our evolution, on our ascension.
Yeah. And isn't it something like it seems like if the bigger the house you have, the more stuff you'll find to put in it. So it's like we're always
Totally.
kind of
It's
keeping up.
totally true.
Yeah. I lived in a basement suite before I bought my house, and now I'm in a four-level split. And yeah, I'm just slowly accumulating stuff to fill the spaces. But I love that
Hmm.
minimal mentality. And I'm kind of glad you feel like we're headed that way. That makes me feel really good,
Hmm.
actually.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's a lot of doom and gloom prophecies for our future, and I just don't. Last year and the year before, when we first moved to Ontario, I just like deep dove into the conspiracies and into the darkness and into the shadow. And it was like, we all need to see that to really feel the gratitude and the love for the light, but we also have to get out of it because that will suck you dry. And it sucked me dry of my life force. And I was a new mom and it was just a lot. And I don't, for my children especially, want to think about our future in such a way that they're not going to thrive. They're not going to experience this beautiful world that we live on, this beautiful planet. So I'm shifting my mentality because I do believe we're on a path of beauty. It's just going to take a lot of light workers to team up and set their frequency to a level of love, and that really happens in our home, just simply put.
I love that. That like hits home with me too. I went down the rabbit hole of conspiracy things too, and I was living in a place of fear. It was awful. Like I thought the future was done. Like there's gonna be no
Yeah.
food, no power. We're all gonna be screwed. And I just like, why do I want to live here? So I like shut all of that off. And I just slowly started focusing on like happier things and visualizing my future as a better place. And that was like a life changer, big time.
It really is, to be able to shift out of that fear. I heard something today, we do have to, maybe not have to, but we will experience fear because we're human and we are on earth in this really dense reality, but it's not to be mired in and like lived in. I think fear is a great place to go and see what you don't want, and then you climb back out and you can really see the light. So there's always, I don't want to say there's always, but really truly, like it's just the light and the dark, they exist. And if we I would just love if more people lived in the light and saw the light and the love in the world. And, if they can't see it when they turn on the news, because God only knows that's not the place to find the love and the light, that's where we can make our space feel that energy, that uplifting energy. by living intentionally and simply in our homes, being present um, in our homes.
I was listening to a podcast by Shaman Durek, and he was actually just talking about this. And it's funny how this is actually in like the literal sense, how you can't live in that space, in like that darker space. Like, yes, we can acknowledge it, and that's fine. But if we bring our focus onto the good, like that's what we're going to feed. So people who
Mm-hmm.
stress, they're feeding that and they're actually making it worse and bigger. We focus on the good things in the light. And like you said, bringing that into our homes and making our homes a happy and light space that's just going to internally raise the vibration of the whole planet. And it starts with
Mm-hmm.
us being at home in our house.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. Like, I think I was getting really overwhelmed when I would be on these like doom scrolls. It was like, man, I can't do anything. I'm one tiny human with two young girls. I don't have $1 million to go start a foundation. I don't even know what I would do if I had $1 million to start. Like, we just think of ourselves as these tiny little blips on the planet. But if we really think about a million tiny little blips, that's going to make a pretty big difference. So if this message of creating sacred spaces in our homes to remind us of the love that we are, to reflect that back to us, like the planet will rise to a higher frequency because we're all operating on it. We're all living in that frequency.
Yeah, I love that. And it like reminds me of that quote. Oh, I'm going to butcher this. I think it was Mother Teresa that said, like, someone asked her how to change the world, and she told them to go home and love your family. I think that's how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like this, that totally makes sense. Like, go home and make a sacred space and love yourself
Mm-hmm.
and love your family. It starts with you. And I was also thinking about like our homes, like, that's one of our things we spend our most money on out of anything in
Mm-hmm.
like throughout our lifetime. So it's like, of course, we want that space to be sacred and safe and just feel good. That's so important.
The other thing is we spend so much time in our homes. I mean, I guess it depends if you're a 9 to 5er and you've got this really, busy lifestyle, like, but even sleeping, you come home, you eat dinner, you go to sleep, you're in your home. And I see a lot of our home because I'm at home with my daughters. Like, I stay at home with them. So we do spend a significant amount of time in these homes that we create. And the other thing about being in our homes, and again, like with the last few years of really having to stay at home, it was like, whoa, what is this space reflecting to me? Is your home full of stuff that is just stressing you out? Because what you see outside is reflected inward and vice versa. So if you're really cluttered mentally, you may not even worry about the clutter in your home because it's your norm. You've got it all wrapped up in your brain. You're overwhelmed. Your home's overwhelmed. It's a constant state of overwhelm because there's no peace from that. So really looking at your home and what is it telling you? That's a cool little exercise people can do, is just take a peek around and see like, what is that? Why do I feel a certain way when I look at that? Or what's coming up for me with this decoration from my great grandma and, this, that, and the other thing. Like, there's just so much depth. And I know I've got some pretty deep like thoughts about this stuff. So I don't know if everyone resonates with that, but it can go really, really deep.
Oh, I believe that 100%. Like, I remember I had a mirror. It was from an ex-boyfriend, and it was a beautiful mirror. I love this, and that's funny because we talked about mirrors in the last episode, but it was like an expensive mirror from Winners. Like, what a weird gift. But anyways, and it fit our decor at the lake. I hung on to this mirror for some reason because it was so pretty. And it fit the master bedroom like perfect. But every time I looked at that damn thing, I thought of him and I was like, why do I have this in here? Like, it was the stupidest thing. I was like, chuck that out the window. I left it there when we
Yeah.
sold the cabin. I didn't.
And in your bedroom.
I
Like, get out
know,
of our
right?
bedroom.
Like feng shui jail there. Like, oh my God.
Oh, awful.
Yeah.
Energetic three-way all the time
Yeah.
at the lake.
Yes. Across from the bed too. Like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, it stays with the
See, and
cabin.
that's the thing. That's the thing, right? Like we sometimes are so not present and so just unaware, and we just like place these items that we may have gotten from an ex-boyfriend or ex-partner or, family member, and it holds so much energy, whether it's good energy or bad energy. Like these items are going to hold energy in your space. And so I actually went through and got rid of it. And, I just gave them back to my mom. They're not out of our family lineage, but I was like, I need a little break from all of this ancestral stuff. We're healing some pretty deep wounds here through our ancestral line, and I would like to not have that constant reminder every day. Gave it back to her. She's holding on to it, but it's like, yeah, it can really stir up some stuff if we hold on to these things, maybe even, tightly, right? Not wanting to let them go.
Yes. Yeah, what that almost brings up one question. This is kind of a selfish question I want to ask you. I guess other people would relate to this because I have a friend going through this as well. Speaking of like family stuff, like my mom is going through her house right now and purging, and she's giving me boxes of my stuff. She kept everything. She kept every piece of paper I wrote on, every Barbie shoe, like it's boxes and boxes of stuff. And I brought some of it to this house with me, and it's shoved in the shed, and I don't even want to look at it. And it's like, what do I do? Like you open the box up, you go through memory lane, cool, close the box, throw it back on the shelf. But it's like, I'm so overwhelmed. I don't know where to start and like what to keep. And like, what would you do in that situation?
Yeah, or if people's homes are just too overwhelming. Like, not even just the box. Like, how do people start?
So to get started, and I've heard this from many people, start with probably not the sentimental stuff or the family heirlooms and the things that are like, there's a really huge emotional attachment. Quick wins you can move through if you want to start the decluttering journey and just like really, get a good confidence streak going. Is your bathroom. You can go through your bathroom, get rid of like, do you have 14 toothpaste from Costco? Can someone else use some of those? Like, we used to live in Regina. I know Costco, and funny enough, I actually had like 3 packages of 200 little cotton face cleaner things that I just donated because I'm like, I don't even use these anymore. They're just taking up space in my bathroom. It's ridiculous. So the bathroom's a great place to start, or anywhere that you feel has like some detachment. There's just the useful everyday items, even like a broom closet or like a cleaning closet or something like that. But the most important thing is to take literally everything out. So say you're working with like underneath your sink, whatever that's called under there. You just take it all out and you really look at everything that you've got. Have you touched it? Have you thought about it? Do you need it anymore? And one really important, question to ask yourself is when you're going through this is there like guilt attached to this item? And so I know the bathroom probably wouldn't, but I kind of did feel a little guilty when I was looking at these cotton swabs or cotton pads from Costco, thinking, why did I spend $20 on cotton pads that I hauled from Saskatchewan to Ontario and never used? Like it brings up stuff, and whether it's ridiculous emotions, like it's kind of a weird thing to be guilty about, but then you think to yourself, it's like, oh man, I was at a different place when that happened, right? So when you're able to donate that item, you're also kind of letting go of that mentality. So another thing that can come up when people are decluttering, especially if there's a lot of stuff and it's overwhelming, is fear. And so fear is going to keep us all holding so tightly onto everything that we own. So like these cotton swabs, maybe I had some fear around not ever getting cotton pads again. I don't know. But I had these stupid things, and it's just funny because as soon as I got rid of them, the owners of a warehouse sent me a Christmas package with reusable ones, and I have 5 of them now. So when I go to use them, I have the reusable ones. But anywho, it's like as if they knew that I was having an internal battle with the Costco cotton things. But yeah, so if you're working through, a fairly neutral place, you still may come into these kind of more complex emotions and mentalities. And when it comes to fear, something you can repeat in your mind and really feel it in your heart space is that you're always going to be taken care of. The universe will always provide for you when you need something. That's something that people have to work towards believing, right? It is hard to believe that, if I get rid of all of these cotton rounds, then I'm just going to have them when I need them again. People with the lack mentality and with financial situations, like it all stirs up. I'm going to be honest, it can be a little bit intense. But yeah, so if you can move through the less emotional places, honor what's coming up for you, trying to not get into that guilt cycle, that shame cycle, just knowing you'll be provided for, and really being grateful for what you have and what you had and what it did for you. So, like, it sounds kind of silly, but if you're going through your bathroom and you've got all these toothpaste, it's like, I'm really grateful that I had enough money to buy all of those. I'm really grateful that I was able to brush my teeth for 3 years with the Costco size thing of toothpaste. Like, you don't have to be grateful for that, but you get the point. It's like moving a little bit deeper than just like, get this out of my face. We have to move through this with a little bit more intention. But yeah, so a less emotional place. If you are going through your stuff, and it's feeling like I don't want to go through my report cards or whatever they may be from your mom. My mom did the same thing, and I'm like, I don't want them. I just personally don't want them. I've heard that you can take pictures of things. Like if you're a parent and your kid goes to school and there's all of these like school art projects that come home, it's like take a picture and make an ebook. Or you can keep them if that feels good for you. But there is other options. We live in this beautiful digital world. So you can take advantage that way. But yeah, it's not something to just dive into head first. I'm cleaning out my home, because probably about 3 hours in, you're going to be exhausted. You're going to have completely berated yourself mentally. You're going to have shame lingering and just dwelling over you. And it's just then you're going to be like, why did I even do this? I feel terrible. So, starting small with the small wins. Another way you can approach this is like, with your situation when it comes to your parents giving you these things back, it's like, what is my intention for my life and my home? Do I want other people's, say if like my mom giving our family heirlooms to me, it's like, do I want that other energy? Is that in alignment with the vision of my house? Like, you can actually go pretty deep with this and use your home as like a vision board for your life, right? So there's so many avenues you can take for this, and you guys let me know if you want me to go deeper on those. But
Oh, that's great advice. I love starting with the bathroom. That seems like totally doable. Cause yeah, my husband's like, you got to go through your stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do it later. But if I can start with the bathroom and get that going and feel good about
yeah,
it, like, and then I'll be like, okay, now what? I love that.
yes. Yeah, and so I mean, the more touchy areas often are your closet, depending, like, especially, for me, it was like I got rid of all the things that didn't fit me after had two babies, and the mental struggle of like, oh, this doesn't fit me. I should feel bad about myself and the whole thing. And it's like the closet is requires time and patience and love, because it can get deep as well. But yeah, the bathroom's a fun, quick win. Your car, get rid of all the crap in your car, can feel really good. Yeah, like I said, cleaning closets, that sort of thing, that are just practical stuff, but they often get filled with just too much of that practical stuff. Or maybe you don't like the certain type of cleaner that you're using. Get rid of it, give it to someone who does.
I'm sure we all have like 10 different shampoos and conditioners that are like half full under the bottom of our sink that definitely need to go. And that to me, like feels really good. But I can get behind how somebody almost feels like it's wasteful. Like I can't
It
throw
can be
those
really,
out. Like
yeah.
it's wasteful. Like I can get that like energetic thing. I kind of feel like I'm always like, I always feel bad when like food goes bad in my fridge. I'm like, oh, I can't believe I let that happen. But you just gotta throw it out, and then honestly, 10 minutes later, you have not thought about it again. Like
Yeah,
just
you're like,
getting
and I'm over
past.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm
The other
over it.
thing too, like we also have to, again, it starts with like stepping when you step out of your door. Like, are you going to the grocery store and buying 5 shampoos and conditioners, or are you just buying 1 or 2? Like I do get the Costco mental game. It's like, gotta just stock my home with all the things just in case the world ends. Like, I will be covered. And it's like, I love Costco. Don't get me wrong. I used to love it. We don't have it here, but it's like, it is a bit of a mind trip to be way too prepared for like the end of the world, which you were just going to manifest into reality by having all those shampoos.
Well, I think too, it's like, why would I not buy this at Costco when it's $10 for
Totally.
50 rolls, or I'm paying 10
Yeah.
for like 20 rolls, right? So then all of a sudden you have like
Yeah.
50 rolls and you're stocked in your house. But I
Yeah.
really wanted to go back to the clothing thing in the closet.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know somebody who is in between sizes and has been in between sizes forever. And now the closet is exploding and it's making me insane. Not that I
Mm,
want to give this away, but it's just like
mm.
it's time to purge the clothes you can't wear because we're running out of space. And now it's like all of a sudden the clothes, it's like creeping out of the closet. Now they're like hanging off the closet. And then some of them are not even on a knob, they're just hanging on the floor. Like, I guess we could buy better hangers, the hangers that stack and like fold. But like, what would you say about people who are just like, I'm gonna wear that again, or like, that's tough.
So yeah, it is. It's super touchy. Like I just feel like because our clothes, they just come with these really big stories about body image and confidence and oftentimes like who we used to be. So you may keep a t-shirt from college because you really loved that version of yourself.
Mhm.
And or you may keep something and then subconsciously run through, the old story of like, actually, that was a really crappy period of my life. And so every time I look at that, my brain kind of goes, ooh, I remember that pain. I remember that hurt. Like there's just, again, there's quite a bit of depth to this. Take everything out of the closet. Take everything out of the closet, put it on the bed, and have designated, giving away, throwing away, keeping pile, and like every single item. So I'm sure you watched Tidying Up with Marie Kondo on Netflix. Did you guys ever see that show? Anyways, that would be a great one for you to watch. So she would make people go through every single item and just like hold it. Does it bring me joy? Nope, it's gone. So you could do a process like that. Um, it's hard to say because in between sizes, I mean, that's the mental loop that people get stuck in. It's like, well, one day I may fit this smaller size, but I should also keep the really big size just in case I ever get back there. And like, it's kind of a mind F word, it just is really confusing for our brain to constantly be in decision fatigue, right? Like we don't know what direction to take. So I would just start by ripping everything out of that closet. I mean, that's me. And I'm really ruthless, to be 100% honest. I went to my mom's house last year. She was downsizing her stuff, and I was tossing. I was getting rid because I was sick of going in her house. She's a small home and like trying to find a dress to wear out for dinner. And it's like I can't even put my finger in between your clothing. Like there are so dresses, 150 dresses. I'm not kidding you.
Wow.
And she's going to hear this podcast, I'm sure, and she's going to say, I had 150 dresses. Like she fully admits it. She loves dresses. That's great. But there comes a point where it's just too much. And so, yeah, take everything out, go through it. And also, then as you're putting the clothing back in the closet, it's important to find an organizational method or setup for your closet that makes sure that things don't creep back in there. So don't fill it so full that there's no more room, but make it like, okay, everything that's folded is stacked just so, and everything that's hung is stacked just so. When I was in college, I was doing a co-op at Club Monaco, and I remember doing their visual displays, and we used to have to hold the hangers and put our fingers in between the hangers. So that was the spacing between the hangers. And now, because I'm just that type of person with that type of brain, I will do that with my daughter's clothes when I hang them back up. And it's like, okay, too much stuff because I can put my fingers in. It's visually appealing. It's not too much for her little brain. Like, so being ruthless, I hate to use that word, but you kind of just gotta get rid of stuff. And then creating systems to make sure that all that stuff doesn't just pile back in a month or 2 months or a year, because that's the trouble.
Okay, what about this for an idea? What if you took out the clothes and you're like, okay, none of this fits right now. We'll put it in a box in the basement. And then if you think in 6 months' time, like put a time, like write a date on there. We will revisit this in 6 months. And if this is a go, okay, we can bring them back up because things have changed. If not, we donate. Do you think that's like fair, or is that like a clutter? You're kind of adding more stuff to your home by doing that. Like just throw it out.
So I have two schools of thoughts. I've heard this term called stuff shuffling, where you just like move stuff from one pile to another pile to a box and then a container, and then it just moves around your house. So that immediately
Right.
popped into my brain. But also, I understand that as we move through life, our bodies change, our style changes. And it is quite wasteful to continuously buy new clothes, especially fast fashion, etc. So for me, like all my maternity clothes and all the clothes I wore when I was pregnant, I boxed them up if I liked them still. Because again, we change our style, we change our comfort. I put them in the basement. I did do that. And if we decide to have another baby, then I have clothes that I know are going to fit me when my hips go whoop, and I've got a bigger butt and my belly's super huge and all the things, right? So I do think that is valid, especially if there is a possibility that things will change in the person's body. But be really mindful that that doesn't become a bad habit where then your basement's full of crap, just stacked up with dates on boxes that are from 3 years ago.
Yeah. Good advice. Yeah. Shuffling the clutter. Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff shuffling. I just love that term. It's like I've done it. I've literally noticed myself just move it from one room to the other, and it's like, what am I doing?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've done that. Put in the closet, bring it back out, then put in the other closet, and you're like, oh. Or then my brother or my husband makes fun of me because I'll open a box, go through it, and take out like two things to throw out, and then shove everything back in the box and throw in the closet. And he's like, well, that didn't really do much. It's like, but then I'm like overwhelmed with everything, and it's just like. And go from that place of scarcity, like, what happens if I need this one day? And that's the way I grew up. Like my parents, they held on to everything. Like, and being an artist, like my dad, he hangs on to like the weirdest things, but they do come in handy sometimes. But it's just like it's a hard one to figure out. So I do want to get to a place where I can walk into my home and feel good and not like feel the energy from all the clutter. Like,
You
It
know,
is a really
Christy,
stressful energy. Sorry
big
to
time.
interrupt.
Christy, what's funny is that your mom unloaded all these boxes. Mine was the complete opposite. I literally have one tote and it's not even thick. It's like this thick.
Oh, what?
It's in my hand shape. It's like, yeah. And it's like one tote. It's really narrow. And it's like, here's all the stuff I saved for you for 30 years.
I would love
It's
that. That's
hilarious.
like the best gift ever.
I mean, I have no idea what has been thrown out, but right, like I have taken stuff with me and then moved and moved and moved, especially when you're younger, you're all over the place. And that is the best time to purge when you're moving. Oh,
Oh yeah.
yeah, throw stuff out. But yeah, it's so funny. It's like, and like some of the weirdest stuff in there too, like my grade 12 grad book and then my work card from when I was like in high school. Yeah, just like it's too funny though. Like my birth certificate was in there. It's like basic necessities.
Necessity. I like the way your mom thinks. I like that.
I know
Yeah.
she's a minimalist, but I like that. Her house is super clean and like
Yeah.
I love being in her house because it's like that.
The thing when we think about minimalist is like, I've watched the documentaries, I've gone down this path where I'm like, why do I have this much stuff? Like, I'm literally in this business, it's insane, right? But there's something to be said about less stuff. I'm not a minimalist. I'm not. One of my friends came over and she's like, whoa, you have a minimalistic vibe. And it's like, ooh, I actually didn't realize I had that less of stuff in my house, but it's more of a mentality of simplicity. And when it comes to simplicity, it gets transferred over to cleaning. Because if we have a bunch of stuff everywhere, we either have to clean all the stuff, clean around the stuff, move the stuff to clean. And it's like, then it makes our job as stay-at-home parents, or you've got your 9 to 5, and then you've got to go clean this big house that's full of stuff and you have to move it. And it's just like, just even thinking about that is quite exhausting. So when you're talking about your mom who just has a really minimalistic home, it's like you said, it just is always so clean. And it's because there's not so much stuff to have to clean around. And the other really cool technique that I've learned in regards to children, but I mean, I just use it because I guess I'm a big kid, is everything has a spot. Everything in your home has a spot. So, we've got our little key bowl. Everybody has like a little key rack or a key bowl or whatever. Your keys just go there. If you're looking for your keys, there they are. If you've got, like that's why my daughter has her little baskets and her dollies go in this one and her silks go in this one and so on. And it's like, then it takes out the stress of having to find a spot for stuff. It completely eliminates stuff shuffling because you can't do that because you know where the spot is. Just put it in the spot. Right. So, I don't know if I'm like 100% on board with complete minimalism. Like, I don't know if I'm there yet, but I do feel like having an intentional home with spots for everything that is easy to clean and maintain just sounds like a dream. It sounds perfect.
I love
And it
that.
feels, yeah. And it feels like even like energies in your home have like less places to get stuck. Like Chrissy and I were
Mhm.
talking about how our homes are beings and they carry an energy. And when somebody has an argument in their home, like that energy will kind of bounce around and stuff. And it's like if you have more of like a simple, I guess, not simple, but neater and less things to clutter in the way. It's like energy can't get stuck as much, I feel like. To have more room to
Mhm.
breathe almost.
And I mean, feng shui, like if you think about feng shui, it's all about the flow of qi through your home. And so if you've got a bunch of clutter, like that chi, that energy is just getting stuck, like you said. And especially because we are emotional, we're human, we're very much living in this reality of like the ups and downs and human experience, things will get stuck and stagnant in your home. You spend a lot of time there, you move through big life decisions and situations in your home, things are going to get stuck. So the more stuff you have to move physically and cleanse energetically, like, the tougher it is to really let that good energy flow through the house. So yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I can relate to that big time. Like I hated cleaning the bathrooms. Absolutely hated it. But when I had like my little condo, I decorated the bathroom. Like I had all this shit just everywhere. It was super cute. But when I went to clean it, that was like 500 extra things I'd have to take out and put in the hallway and then put them all back. And then they'd get dusty. And like one day I just got rid of it all and I had a toilet paper roll and a hand towel. And that was it. And it was so easy to clean. You just go in there, wipe it down, you're done. I was like, it's the best thing I've ever done.
I know.
Yes.
It's funny how like the little things like that, when you don't even think about, like you think "Oh, it looks beautiful, but just the layer of work that needs to be done to remove it, clean it, whatever.
Yeah, big time.
Krista, is there anything else that you want the listeners to know? And then, of course, like your offerings and where they can find you. But any other like good last tips that we should know about that we didn't touch on?
We touched on so much good stuff. So thank you both so much for just, yeah, like holding that space for really beautiful conversation to flow. I would just say, like, I think that your listeners and everyone who hears this just really pay attention to what happens in the home and how you feel in your home. And that there's a solution to the overwhelm if that's what you're experiencing. So I am on Instagram at heart.raise.home and on Facebook under the same name. I have on my Instagram a free video series, so I'll send you guys the link for that. And this is just a great way for people who are new to my business and to my offerings to get to know me a little bit better, and get to know the way that I work, because it's not your traditional clutter clearing fairy going in and just zapping things out of your home. I'm going to take people a little deeper. Um, and I also have two paid offerings that are called Your Soul Infused Space. So one of those offerings is a one-on-one call with me where we will go through, the vision for your life, the vision for the home, and walk through like what needs to get cleared in order to hold that vision. Um, and then the other offering, Your Soul Infused Space Immersive, is a 5-day immersive with me online via Telegram. It's a communication app. And we just move through the same type of process that we would on the one-on-one call, but just with that extra added support through the week. This is just an offering if people want to go deeper and need more emotional support and more of a structured decluttering ritual, I will say. So lots that I'm offering. But yeah, Instagram's the best place to find me now, and got a free offering there so everyone can come get to know me that way.
Right on. Yeah, I'm going to check that out. And I just feel like you are so heart-centered that like I wouldn't feel judged. Like I wouldn't feel embarrassed to be like, "Hey, look at my closet and I'm hanging on to this and this." Like you wouldn't like make me feel that shame. Like I just feel like this would be done all from the heart. And I've never met a declutterer that works from the heart. It's usually like you said, like ruthless. Like it's like going in and just tossing things. So what you're doing is amazing. And I
Well,
love
thank
it.
you. That's so sweet. And I think that's a really important thing to touch on is the heart-centered energy. When it comes to this, I know our stuff holds a lot of weight in our life, emotionally, physically. And so if we can approach this topic through the lens of love and non-judgment and just be really open for that transformation that we can create when we get rid of the stuff that just does not serve us, it's gonna feel a lot better if it's done from gratitude on the person who's decluttering end. And for me to really hold space with my heart open so that people can move through those, it's deep to get rid of stuff. It's almost my business mentor, her Instagram bio is midwife for your soul creations. And I was thinking about that and I thought, wow, what a powerful name, right? She's helping people birth their soul creations. And I was thinking about it, and I'm like kind of a death doula for all your stuff. Like I just have this, like, it's a big task. And if your heart's not open, it can be really hard. So yeah, that's not my bio because I'm not there yet in my confidence level to use that word. But yeah, it's that idea. It's just holding space for people to really let go and to move through that grief process. So I'm so grateful to be here, though. Thank you guys both for having me. It was so much fun.
Yeah, that was
That
great.
was really fun.
Mhm.
Krista, you're going to be like the one like energetically rubbing their back and feet while they start purging
Exactly.
everything out.
I do have my Reiki level 1, so I'll just be like giving them,
Mhm.
Reiki vibes and
Yeah.
just like, all the good energy. So
That's right.
Oh, before we go, can you tell us a little about your Reiki level 1? We are a Reiki podcast. I'd love to just hear
I
it.
know. It's so funny. I just finished your episode with Andrea, who is a sweet, sweet friend of mine. I did not get my Reiki through her, but now I'm realizing, wow, what a sweet offering that is. Yeah, so when I'm a yoga teacher as well. So when I got my yoga teacher training certificate, I went and got level 1 Reiki at Wilkie Wellness in Regina. And I never went on to level 2 because things in my life had just changed. But for me at that point in my life, it was very much to enhance my ability to connect with people while teaching yoga. So I would put them in postures and then use my Reiki hands. I'll say I don't really, it's been a long time since I've done it, but I would use that energy to help move things in their body.
Ah.
It was really cool. It was a lot of fun. And even like now when my daughter isn't feeling well or something, I'd like rub your hands together and put them on your belly and you'll feel better. Like
Yeah.
she doesn't know what Reiki is, right? But it's like I'm trying to teach her that there's energy flowing through us. So
Oh, beautiful. That is my favorite part about Reiki is that I can't wait. Well, I already do, but when my son is old enough, I can tell him things like that too. Like, yes, it's fun.
There are sweetest little teachers, these kiddos who are coming into the planet at this time. They are so tuned in. It's so cool.
Oh, did we have a card pull? I didn't follow up with you.
Yeah, so I am working with the Enchanted Nap Oracle. Oops, okay, one just fell right out. So let's. Oh my gosh, you guys. I gotta show you. Home.
Oh, no way.
Oh my gosh.
So this is so perfect. This card is all about, creating a home in your heart space, creating a home that just fills you up and supports you and loves you. But this card is also really special because there's this mystical element of like the energy of your home. So I'm seeing like an owl and some fairies and, the little spirit realms that live in our home too, that we can connect with, as we set more intentional spaces in our home. So it's so funny because when I went down to get these cards, which I've been working with quite a bit, I thought, wouldn't it be funny if I pulled the home card again? I've pulled this card so many times lately. And there it is. Yeah, it's a good one. I'm just going to go to the book here and see if there's anything else I want to share. But that one, yeah, isn't that just perfect, you guys? Peace, security, safety, belonging, and all the features one would want from home are indicated now. This is beautiful. Home is love, and love is all around you.
Oh,
so perfect.
I love that message.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
So wild. And I noticed that that card was the number 27. And when we were doing this episode, I thought about that movie, 27 Dresses, and how she has when you were talking about your mom, I was thinking about all those dresses that she had in the closet. And I thought about that movie, and then that card was 27.
Weird.
So I was kind of like, what?
It's interesting too, because in feng shui, like 27 is a really powerful number. It adds up to 9, which is like the highest single digit number. And so, yeah, there's a lot of auspicious energy when it comes to feng shui and the number 9 and 27. And it was just meant to be. This is beautiful.
That's cool. Yeah, thanks for pulling that.
Yeah, 9 is kind of like that completion, right? Like when you're at 9,
it really is. Yeah. You're headed into really a new. It's like the final chapter almost, when you're heading into a new countdown. Something. Yeah, exactly. Oh, don't get me singing on this podcast now.
We like to end with a song from our guests. Something we're starting right now. Yeah. Oh, that was so good. Like so much takeaways. And I thought about so many people I want to listen to this just to help them kind of get sorted and get started. I'm going to send you a picture of my boyfriend's closet as soon as we're done this. Not to put him on blast.
It's just between us on the podcast.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Anyways, that's wonderful. Thank you again.
1, 2,